What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to HawksNest. It's your host, Matt, with you here. I have my co-host, the man with all the material, the dude with all the know-how, Riley Feenan. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, dude?
All right, man. You are in a bit of a mood this weekend. You've been feeling a little slighted. You feel like our boy John Schneider's not getting the love, and you've been letting people know. Like, what you got for us?
This is just John Schneider and his offseason and how well he's done in constructing this team and really doing it super under the radar. He's getting solid picks, guys that are his guys that fit our scheme and our molds. A guy like Akella Weatherspoon, who we're taking a one-year flyer on. We just did the same thing with Quentin Dunbar, and then we get rid of him due to injury issues. It didn't work out. Whatever, we move on. But Pete Carroll's been the cornerback whisperer, kind of, so to say, and getting these guys to overachieve for, Byron Maxwell's, Jeremy Lane's, Deshaun Shed's. He's getting guys to be solid contributors on Super Bowl teams or on other teams post Seattle Seahawks, and he's giving them their opportunity. He has constructed this defense. Sorry, Matt, you can pull it up right here. Just this 2021 Seahawks defense depth chart right now.
It's dirty.
We are loaded at the defensive line position. Loaded at the defensive line position. I'm very excited about Kerry Hyder being able to learn from Kerry Hyder at the 5 tech, and then a guy like Darrell Taylor's being able to learn from Aldon Smith and Carlos Dunlap, Benson Mayowa. The NASCAR packages, the craziness that we're going to see in the creativity on the defensive side is going to be fantastic. I think Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks will live in this kind of scheme because they're sideline to sideline guys. LJ Collier, Kuna Ford, these guys are difficult to block for interior linemen. They're quick, they're agile, they move well laterally, and they also have some skill. They're athletic guys. They're not big, gross, fat dudes. These are big guys that know how to move and they're athletic. This is the type of defensive tackle and the defensive end or 5 tech defensive tackle that the Seahawks have been talking about. And I'm just getting the names and stuff like that down.
Hold on for a sec. So you got Alvin Smith at the Sam linebacker spot. Do you ever see him slipping down and try and play in that 5 tech? Or do you see Darrell Taylor kind of creep up into that number 1 Sam linebacker position?
As far as I've read, the Leo position is going to be like a 3-man rotation, 4-man rotation between Carlos Dunlap, Benson Mayowa, Aldon Smith, and Darrell Taylor that Leo, because that Leo position is kind of the pass rusher, but there is going to be like NASCAR packages or like nickel packages that those guys get on, and they're a lot faster. Maybe dropping Kerry Hyder into the 3 tech, and then you bring Aldon Smith into the 5 tech, and he can rush the passer from there. But I think the possibilities are endless within the front 7. Now we talked about the back end. The safeties are solid. I really like Ryan Neal. I really like Marquise Belair. I think the way, again, I keep bringing it back to it, is the way the roster is constructed, I think, is phenomenal. DJ Reed, I think, is going to make an impact as a corner. I also think Akella Weatherspoon is somebody who is super athletic, super long, fits the mold of a Seattle Seahawks corner. And I'm excited with what John Schneider did on this side of the football. We just needed to adjust the offense. That was the problem towards the end of the year, was the offense, correct?
The offense was the problem towards the end of the year, but you've definitely seen more attention brought to the defensive side of the ball in terms of depth compared to what we've seen on offense.
Because the issue on the offense, I believe, was the offensive play calling, and your boy Pete Carroll, I think he was the issue. I think him having too much dabbling in the offensive coordinator and the picking of the choices of the plays, I think he needs to relinquish the reins a little bit, let Shane Waldron cook a bit, and let's see what he's got. Well, I'm sick of pussyfooting around. Like, people don't understand what he's done. Like, he's done a fantastic job. We've been close every freaking year. Like, we were close against Green Bay. It came down to 1 yard line in the postseason. Last year, it was kind of football karma, Matt. You know how that works. Like, when you talk shit, you kind of things come back and bite you in the ass. So that's what I basically chalked up last year too. And then the following year, what was the playoff game? Or the previous year.
I want to work on, like, you really just think last year was just a karma thing? I saw like a pretty offense. But yeah, like it was the entire season. Like obviously the first 5 weeks were insane, but after that it was typical heart attack Seahawk football. There was no consistency. It was mental errors. It wasn't a playoff football team. At no point from watching the Seahawks from week 7, like halfway through the season, midway through the season, at no point did I think the Seahawks were going to do anything in the playoffs of any significance based on the way they were playing. They come out and they start playing lights out, sure, then we could see something, but the playoff games they were in, like, they're just tight. They're not – the Seahawks do not come out and finish people. I don't know if you think it's just a play calling thing. I don't think it's a personnel thing. Like we just saw the defense. That's lights out, and it has been for a long time. I agree. John Schneider has built fabulous teams, talented guys in a scheme fit environment. It comes down to, I think, utilization and what's the word? Execution. Utilization and execution. Those are our errors. I don't know how to solve them. You kind of think Pete Carroll had his fingers in the offense too much towards the end of the season, and I think our hurt running backs had a lot to do with it too. But I think
the year before, like the Green Bay loss.
Well, I'm just talking even last year, right? The with Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde getting hurt, our running backs were pretty shook. We had Bo Scarborough in the game. That guy got hurt. Like we were just losing running backs left, right, and center. So
both years we were like the past 2 years we've had running back health issues, and then we go ahead and we get a guy like Chris Carson back on a 2-year deal. But this isn't. I'm not trying to sit here and dwell on things. I'm sitting here and I'm sick of the disrespect on John Schneider's name and Pete Carroll's name and what they did to construct a Super Bowl winning. Like we had no cap space, nothing. And we go ahead and get Tyler Lockett locked up on a contract. He's going to retire a Seahawk. Then we get Kerry Hyder on a team-friendly deal. Chris Carson comes back. You got Akello Weatherspoon, Carlos Dunlap, Alden Smith. The names continue to go and go and go, and the defense has been constructed, but there's a massive hole. The cornerback position, what are we doing? I do not believe that the Seattle Seahawks are taking a corner within the top 100 picks. It's just not happening. It just hasn't been who Pete Carroll is or John Schneider. They believe that they can get corners in later rounds and develop them and make them grow. But they also like having that back end one guy that they can lock up and just leave and not have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. That's usually a Richard Sherman, Shaquille Griffin.
So you think we're missing a Richard Sherman, Shaq Griffin type guy? We were missing that lockdown corner, that one corner that's just going to take care of business for us. Richard Sherman's still out there. There's still hopes that he comes home to us. Who else could we get right now at this point? Do you think there's a guy in the draft that we pick up later? Well, no, there's no way we pick up a guy later in the draft that's going to fill that void. So is Richard Sherman our only option?
Richard Sherman, there's free agent options, but like, dude, who don't no bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
As the deep, like look at the DB room right now. Look at the cornerback room.
Yeah.
Do you think that's not a Super Bowl winning DB room?
No, it's not at all. The defensive line's scary. Those linebackers are scary, but our back seven's rough. Yeah.
But there's no way John Schneider and Pete Carroll are standing there and like looking up at this massive board that they probably have and saying, yeah.
That's good enough.
That'll win the Super Bowl next year.
I agree.
That'll cover everybody on, the Chiefs and the Tyreek Hills and the Travis Kelce's. That's
receiving cores are scary now, man. Look at Arizona, even like Los Angeles. We got to go play those guys twice a year. There's some scary dudes on those teams. Now,
the NFC West is just a massacre for next year.
Yeah, going to be some really close football games.
This isn't about that. This is about John Schneider in the offseason and what we have to look forward to for the Seattle Seahawks 2021.
Yeah. John Schneider's done a great job. I agree. We like fucking A, man. The guy's a beast. But I'm not convinced with Pete yet, man.
What was your issue with Pete?
What we already heard about is bullshit this offseason with his son, and nobody answers to Pete, and they kind of just go around doing what they want. They stifled the offense this year. Like you said, Pete got his fingers in there. What's stopping him from doing that again? I'm still worried about Pete. Pete's not off the hook with me yet. John Schneider was never in my radar. He never was. I think John Schneider's done a fabulous job. He handled that whole Russ situation really well. Pete got caught up in it, maybe for good reason. And, well, Russ is re-signed. Russ has come home. Russ is off the hook. Okay, I get why Russ did what he did. In my opinion, Pete's not off the hook. The last couple of years, I've been falling off of his wagon a little bit. I don't know if I'm confident in him going forward.
Wow, confident in him going forward. Like, what's your issue with Pete then? Like, is it just winning? Because I don't know about you, but like, if you look at there's statistics out there that show that we're a top 10 franchise over the past like 10 years or whatever it is in winning, in terms of winning, Matt. Period. I get the postseason, but we could be the Browns, we could be the Bengals, we could be fan bases.
I'm just not here to pat mediocrity on the back and tell them they're doing a fabulous job. Now, statistics are kind of flawed sometimes, right? We talk like the win-loss column is, I guess, all that matters at the end. But the Seahawks don't blow dudes out. John Schneider comes out here and builds these teams that are just full of talent. We should be blowing guys out like the Kansas City Chiefs, but instead we got to do nothing for the first 2 quarters. Like, I mean, literally nothing, even playing poor. Then we pick it up in the 3rd quarter, and then the 4th quarter we do some miracle-ass shit and take a win. That's not a football team that's going to confidently – that's not a New England Patriots dynasty. That's just a football team that claws their way through shit. It's like the Seahawks are constantly playing not to lose. Watching them play is like watching a team playing not to lose. And I'm not going to attribute that to the players or the general manager who acquires those players, so you have to blame it on the coaching staff at that point. Pete Carroll has been there, and I get it, he's winning, but is his old school way of thinking, his lack of adaptation to the way the game is being played now, is he getting caught up in his own head thinking he's the grandmaster and knows everything and is unwilling to adapt? It's been a consistent criticism of him that he doesn't let Russ do Russ things, and he still wants to do this old thing. He's not using his players to his advantage. That's not a new criticism of Pete. And now we're hearing all this other stuff. I'm not the only one that's got their eyes on Pete Carroll and what's going on, and I think he's got some stuff to prove. Honestly, I do, especially at his age.
Bam! That was brilliant. I have nothing to go off of that. I have nothing to defend or knock. I'm totally with you. Like, I don't even want to argue with you about that. I thought we were going to end up arguing about Pete Carroll, but there's nothing to argue with that because they need to finish this up. They need to find a way to put it all together and finish and go straight through. Like, we have not had a massive playoff win in the recent years. We've had a lot of drama, a lot of upset breakups and people disappearing and whatever.
One thing else I think the Seahawks have had a habit of doing over the last couple of years is letting teams that have no business playing football with them beat them. Most notably last season was the Giants. That loss took something out of my soul.
That loss still hurts last year.
Listen, I don't want to sit here and totally like drag Pete through the mud either. Like, there's a lot of positive characteristics.
Not gonna lie, I'm like, is this the fucking? I'm like, this is what you want to hang your hat on, because there will be a lot of people coming at us.
I think I have fair criticism of Pete Carroll, but I'm not gonna like say he does nothing well. I'm not gonna sit here and just totally drag the guy through the mud. I really love his energy. I love what he brings to the team in a lot of ways. I just think there's some things that. I mean, nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect. But does Pete have a make or break it kind of year this year? Does he have something to go out there and prove?
Absolutely not.
I think he does.
He's not going anywhere.
I don't think he's going to go anywhere.
Pete Carroll, John Schneider,
I think this is a big year for Pete Carroll. I think anything less than an NFC championship game this year is unacceptable. Straight up. I see the Seattle Seahawks as a competitive program that can beat anyone on any day.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. The cornerback position is a problem, though.
Like, the cornerback is a problem.
That corner needs to figure it out.
Well, I think at this point, then, if for what you're saying, I think Richard Sherman needs to come back.
That'd be lovely.
It's got to be Rich.
I mean,
no, he's definitely lost a step. He's not the Richard Sherman we know and love necessarily. But he's still.
We know that. I know he's not all that in a cup of beans. But he's still Richard Sherman, dude. He's still a name. Bring him back for a 1 year or 2 year deal. Probably with the void years and all that stuff nowadays. We probably can get him back for a few more years, and maybe he retires a Seahawk. He's 30-some. I don't know how old he is exactly. 33 or 34.
33 or 34.
But he's older, and he's probably the only one. It makes too much sense. Okay, that's what it is. Antonio Brown is the wide receiver number 3 in the Seattle Seahawks next year, and Richard Sherman back in a Seahawks uniform. Although I can see Richard going back to San Francisco if that works. I don't see him at this point in his career unless the Jets give him like a ton of money. Like that's the only way I see Richard Sherman going to the Jets.
I think Richard Sherman would be nice to, or it would be nicer for Richard Sherman rather for him in Seattle, just because I think he might have a bit more leeway, perhaps.
He might have more say.
Not so much position wise and what he needs to do on the field. I'm thinking more of like as a leader. He doesn't have to show up to Seattle and be the man in the locker room and everything. He just needs to show up.
He doesn't have to prove himself.
He just needs to show up, play ball, lock down, and do your job. He doesn't need to worry about everything else. He can kind of come in and just focus on Richard Sherman and the boys. Just relax a bit. It would be a competitive environment that he could it'd be like almost like his glory days, you know? He could just relax.
One last ride. And Bobby and I don't know, one last dance or something like that, maybe. I don't know.
I agree. I'd love it.
It'd be nice. It'd be a nice little nostalgic move, bringing Sherman back. We know he's not Richard Sherman of old, but he is Richard Sherman. It'd be nice
just
to bring
his football IQ. Do you know what's another guy I want coming back that no one's talking about? Is Golden Tate. We kind of fell off of him too. You don't want Golden Tate coming in the house.
I don't know. Maybe it'd be fun, but
I'd love to see Golden Tate.
Antonio Brown still something I want to see come back. Like I don't know. Antonio Brown would be really fun. I think him and Russell Wilson would be cool. I also think that you need a veteran number 3, and I think today's day and age, that number 3 needs to be a solid option.
Someone that can catch the ball.
Yeah,
Antonio Brown can catch the ball.
And he can he's an established vet. Is he going to go to Baltimore and play in a blocking scheme offense? I think, again, that's another one that fits. Antonio Brown may have fallen out. They want to go with the Johnson kid down. I can't remember his whole name, but it's number 18. Don't worry about bringing him up. But it's a Johnson kid down in Tampa that they might be going into that number 3 role. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know. They're bringing all 22 guys back to the rest of the team. So I mean, is Antonio Brown the odd guy out? Yeah, maybe. So his next option was Baltimore, I believe, and him and Lamar were down working about that. And then Juju was talking about the fact he didn't want to play in a blocking schemed offense and that it just didn't appeal to him. And then is AB really at that point in his career what he's trying to do and make that maybe one more run to get that Hall of Fame bid? Because he's got like 11,000 yards career receiving. Like he's got quite a resume in my belief. And I think maybe at this point in his career, he's just got to get some more stats, maybe some more numbers, maybe another Super Bowl ring. He's got one with Tampa. It makes too much sense to maybe go down and play in the Pacific Northwest with Russ. Like I think Antonio fits. I don't think Pete and John care at all what the media says. I think they've made that abundantly clear. I think he just fits the I don't give a shit John Schneider attitude that we've seen all summer or all offseason.
Is it just between Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Baltimore right now for the Antonio Brown sweepstakes? Or has anybody else been kind of nosing around?
I don't know if I haven't seen anything else other
than me neither.
Baltimore.
Well, I don't think he wants to go to. I don't think he'd want to go to Baltimore. I don't think that fits his style. Does he want to block for Lamar? I don't think so. I think it makes way too much sense, like you said, for him to come play in Seattle. That being said, I think it makes more sense for him to stay in Tampa Bay if they'll keep him. Honestly, if I'm Antonio Brown, I can't.
He just might want too much money, is what the problem
I agree.
is.
I think it will come down to dollars and cents in that case, and hopefully that bodes well for Seattle. I agree. I would definitely rather take Antonio Brown over Golden Tate. Dude's electric.
Yeah, I think Antonio Brown's got a couple more solid seasons in him. I just think he from where he was when he got traded to the Raiders, and then talk about a downward spiral. He's really
he still garners attention when he's on the field. You 100%. Need to make sure you know where he is and make sure you got him covered, because if you don't, he's going to make a big play. He was huge in the Super Bowl.
100%. He caught a touchdown.
Right?
Won us some money.
Yeah, he did. Him and Gronk, man, the old goats made us some money.
Yo, Wiley duo. God, I can't wait for Heat receipts this year. I'm so excited for parlays. So excited to get into that stuff.
I want a PS5 this year. We got to bang out one of those crazy parlays.
We got to
parlays for PlayStations, boys. Parlays for PlayStations. Dude, the draft's a tough one to talk about. Like, everybody gets super into it, doing all these crazy ass mock drafts and yada yada. He's gonna go here. He's gonna go there. But you know what, man? I don't think it matters, because there's so many moving pieces until the actual draft transpires and teams make their trade. Right? Like your mock drafts are just, in my opinion, not a waste of time, but just silly. They're just silly. I think the draft is something to really get into, or is more fun to really get into post. Seeing where these guys actually went, seeing how they
seeing where teams actually did a good job and stuff like that is actually a lot more fun.
Exactly.
That's when I'll have a little bit more fun. But I will it's nice to. I think this year for me is just more following what the Seahawks do, because we are so close to, final product kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then there's also, Quinn Miners, somebody who we had on the show, Terrell Janis, somebody who we had on the show. There's the guys that you obviously root for, and then there's a lot of guys going to get drafted. And, I do like seeing that. Guys get excited, and people that have worked their entire lives for one moment, and it's finally there. And I love it. It's really cool to watch. So this year might be the first year that we watch it actually together. So
I still remember the first draft we watched together. It was actually at
Rashard Penny's.
No, dude, we were little.
Oh, little?
Geez, I can't. I wouldn't even be. I bet you before high school. It would have been the 2007 draft, 2006 draft.
Tell me it wasn't Mario Williams, Reggie Bush year.
Oh, I got to look it up now. It was the Jamarcus Russell draft, bro. That's
Jamarcus Russell draft. Brady Quinn.
Yes, because I remembered. That's right. Brady Quinn sat, and I can always remember him sitting there just being miserable. It was the 2007 draft, Jamarcus Russell, Brady Quinn.
That's when my dad realized that I was not – I didn't know football, because I said Jamarcus Russell looked like the next greatest thing.
Hey, apparently so did the Oakland Raiders, so you're not that
No, dude, I don't even remember. He was just a freaking unit. He was 6'6".
Hey, man, dude, that was a crazy
260 playing quarterback.
That was a crazy draft. Just some notable names right off the rip: Calvin Johnson, Joe Thomas, Adrian Peterson, LaRon Landry, Patrick Willis, Marshawn Lynch, Darrell Revis, Lawrence Timmons. Oh my, Dwayne Bowe, Brandon Mayweather.
Brandon
Merriweather, yeah. Zach Miller, yeah, he was in them. Eric Weddle, Sidney Rice, our boy. What was it in Seattle and just taking the Minnesota Vikings garbage for a while? You remember that? It just seemed like the second the Minnesota Vikings dropped a dude or Seattle made a move, it was with the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, now we're just doing it with the San Francisco 49ers.
Apparently, yeah.
DJ Reed, Kerry Hyder.
It said that the playing defense on the San Francisco 49ers is the most secure job in the NFL, because there's a job waiting for you in Seattle when you're done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dude, Ryan Khalil. Yeah, 2007 draft is sick.
That's a good draft. I don't think we should get into this draft just because I'm not going to – maybe we just do a top 10 for fun. Together we can kind of go back and forth.
I definitely think we could do a top 5 just because I think we got some discrepancies there.
It's too easy.
Especially at number 5. No, I think our number 5 could be interesting.
Who's number 5?
I think our number 1, 2, 3 are easy. We got Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and we both want Justin Fields. Think Justin Fields is going to San Francisco.
Yeah, I think Justin Fields is going to San Fran. Yeah.
And then what did you have at 4, 5?
4 is going to be Pitts, I think.
Yeah, to Atlanta. But I think you said Atlanta wants to trade.
It could be Lance. It could be Pitts. It could be the Patriots taking Mac Jones.
Yeah.
It could be there's a lot of trade up scenarios, honestly, at that 4 position. I do fully believe that quarterbacks are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, like, I really think 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to.
Do you think there's any chance Atlanta takes a quarterback at 4?
Yeah, I do. Trey Lance.
I wonder if San Francisco goes Mac Jones if they don't go Justin Fields.
If San Francisco goes Mac Jones, then I can see number 4 is going to get a lot of attention. That Atlanta, as soon as the card goes and it's like Mac Jones, quarterback, Alabama. Atlanta's phone has got 17 different teams calling. Yeah. I don't think 17, but I do think there would be multiple. I would be Denver's probably calling up. New England's probably calling up. Who else? Carolina could probably call up.
Mm-hmm.
Denver. If I already mentioned Denver, I really think Denver might trade up, get a quarterback. They're the only team that really hasn't addressed the quarterback position this offseason, and they wanted to address the quarterback position, but they kind of lost out on all the sweepstakes. And I think, another team is Chicago that I could see coming up and trading up for Justin Fields. If Justin Fields is there at 4,
I don't think Chicago has I don't think Chicago has the capital to make that trade.
They'll give up that Russell Wilson trade. You know that Russ trade? They'll give up 2 or 3 threes.
Would you take that instead of Justin Fields?
Yeah. Oh, Atlanta? If I'm calling Atlanta,
yeah. Like if I'm calling
Atlanta's brilliant because they would trade back. They're already paying. What's the point? Then they have no pressure to put a quarterback in. They don't need to take Kyle Pitts. They could just trade back. Then they actually have a first-round pick over the next 3 years, probably in the top.
That's a good point.
At least in the next top 20, top 25.
Okay, let's move on to number 5 because this is where I think you and I are really going to disagree. Who you got number 5?
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I don't think so, man. How do you not go Penny Sewell? How?
Because the offensive line, I think that you can get an offensive line position at what's their next pick? Is it 38, right? Alex Leatherwood would come in and fill that position just fine. Jamar Chase is
no doubt fill the position. I don't think those guys are bad by any means, but Penny Sewell I think is different. That guy's so young. Do you not like that? To me is like a franchise player on the offensive line.
You took the franchise quarterback that broke records.
Mm-hmm.
Now take the franchise receiver, put them together.
There's so many receivers. I think you could better.
Yeah, you're right. You could
better fill that receiver position with the talent that's in the draft, and you could make the same argument with the offensive line. I totally get that. I just think that Penny Sewell is that much more different at his position that it is worth taking him there and then getting someone who is also quite good at receiver. You know, maybe not Jamar Chase, but closer to what Jamar Chase is relative to. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's the move.
Yeah, they could do that. I don't doubt that. I wouldn't refute that. I wouldn't hate it. I'm the offensive lineman lover here, and I definitely like Penny Sewell's game, and I do think he's probably the best tackle in this draft, without a doubt, hands down. Probably the most athletic tight end or tackle that I've seen. That's how well he moved. Some of his film was really cool, him getting out on those screens with Oregon and stuff. Right. He's really athletic, dude. He moves fluidly. He doesn't look like he's really exerting a lot of energy or anything. He looks like he fits everything you're talking about. But sometimes you won't see that impact unless you see it like a Tristan Wirfs, where you come in and he's an all-pro right off the bat on a team that's going to struggle. I don't know if Cincinnati's going to struggle, but I definitely don't think that they're going to be a top 10, top 15 team in the NFL next year. Right. So I would say a team that's going to struggle, you're not going to see Penny Sewell, and you might get more pissed off. I also think that there is a big red X on that Cincinnati team because every time they draft a first-round pick, it seems that position gets injured with their center, and then Jonah Williams, and their corner got hurt too, and then Drake Kirkpatrick got hurt. Dude, it dates back like 6-7 years. It's wild how many injuries that they've had. Joe Burrow just last year, like there's another one. Like holy crap, it's wild. Joe Mixon. I do think they have a solid foundation. I definitely think that team's going to be fun to watch. We've been starting to kind of dabble in that about what teams are kind of to watch. Do you have any more that you would like? I think Cincinnati would be on the lower end of my list. I probably wouldn't be super jacked up about them, but do you have a top list?
If I had to put someone don't get me wrong, I'm interested in what Cincinnati does, but good or bad, I don't give a shit.
Sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But another kind of fringe team that I wouldn't mind see maybe get better who's a fringe team I'd like to see? I might have to come back to that one. Good teams I want to see do well, though, are definitely the Titans. I'm really riding with the Titans this year. I hope they do well in the AFC. I really like Ryan Tannehill. I love that comeback story coming out of Miami. Derrick Henry is my fantasy GOAT, carrying me places, so really want to see him do well. I just like the team. I like Mike Vrabel. I like the attitude they have. Tennessee's badass. I hope they do well. And I'm also just going to be hyping up Baker Mayfield and the Browns.
I was going to say, do you want to talk about Baker Mayfield and the Browns?
Dude, love to talk about Baker Mayfield and the Browns. I think that team is electric. I
think that team is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I really hope they're not overhyped and they read their press clippings. I don't think they're that team. I think Jarvis Landry is very hardworking.
Damn, bro. You know who's another fringe team? Maybe not even a fringe team. Okay, I don't even think they're a fringe team. They're actually a good football team. I think people know they're good, but they're just not getting the hype. The Indianapolis Colts. I am not sure why people aren't scared of them, but they should be.
Carson Wentz is somebody I have on a player to watch, somebody I'm like rooting for to be good again. I honestly I watched him on the Pat McAfee show and him do that interview and kind of like got asked some like awkward questions. Like he got asked the tough questions between that relationship between him and Doug Peterson and the ugly, leaving of the Eagles and stuff like that. It's hard not to root for the guy, man. He's hardworking, busts his ass. It seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. I think the drafting of Jalen Hurts, whether he says it or not, had an impact on it and his psyche. And honestly, I'm rooting for the guy in Indianapolis. And I think that Indianapolis roster is good.
Yeah.
They got some money too. Like Chris Ballard is freaking phenomenal because he's just sitting. Like he's sitting on so much cap room because he's got to pay Darius Leonard. Quentin Nelson's going to be a $100 million man. Like there's a lot of guys that they got to pay. And then if Wentz is going to cost them a lot. Jonathan Taylor is going to be a really good back. They don't have a receiver. They're really struggling at the receiver position.
But that's a draft thing. That's a draft acquisition. There's still time to fix that kind of thing. There's still receivers that are free agents right now. I don't think we see anything happen as far as free agents go until after the draft at this point, especially those big ones. I couldn't believe when Jadeveon Clowney signed, actually. I thought he would be the last dude to sign.
That's a lot of money, too.
Oh, my God.
But I mean, like, we don't –
have we seen the breakdown yet?
No, we haven't.
Yeah, but I want to know how much incentive it is.
Dude, let's talk about the Browns. I'm always down to talk about the Browns. I got some Browns followers now.
Yeah, me too. Like the Browns. Big Browns guy. But do they have the ability to go to a Super Bowl?
I believe so. I would put them in the AFC top 5 for
sure top 5. I'm talking top 2. Do we see
top
them in
2?
an AFC? Do we see them in an AFC championship game this year? I don't think the Ravens are a competition for them. I think they have to worry about the Chiefs, obviously.
Yep.
Who else?
And the Bills.
The Bills, yes. Thank you, the Bills.
So you just asked, like, are they going to make the AFC Championship, and I can honestly say to you, no, I think the AFC Championship, I think both of us believe what it's going to be. You can go ahead and say it because I already know what the NFC one I think is going to be.
Yeah.
So,
hey, Super Bowl, Seattle, Buffalo, let's go. Seahawks.
This is the pre-draft. We'll do another one later when you know, after the draft.
Right now, as it stands, that's what I wanted last year. Honestly,
Seattle Seahawks, Buffalo Bills, Super Bowl is Maddie's prediction as of 1 week before.
I don't know about prediction. I wouldn't say prediction. If I had to say what I think, that's what I want. Perfect world for me.
That's what you want.
In a perfect world for me, that would be a sick Super Bowl matchup. I would love to see it. As far as what I actually think. That's tough. I don't think you can rule out the Chiefs right now. As bandwagony as that sounds, it's just smart. Sorry. The Chiefs at this point are my AFC team. They're going to the Super Bowl again. And goddamn, that NFC is going to be a battle between Tampa Bay, I think Los Angeles, and Seattle. Green Bay for sure, because it's just Green Bay and they're annoying and they're always there. But those four are going to slug it out, I think. Who do you think is the best member of the original 4 Legion of Boom? So you got Brandon Browner, Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor.
Who's the best?
Yeah.
Like statistically or personally? Like
right now, you get the 4 Legion of Boom players, okay? You got to nominate one to go to the Hall of Fame. Who's it going to be?
The first one in?
Just, yeah. Your best player.
Richard Sherman.
Okay, well, I agree with you there. My favorite one, though, or hit me with your favorite one.
I'd say Brandon Browner.
Brandon Browner?
I'd say my favorite one was Brandon Browner. He didn't give no fucks, bro. He talked shit. He was booty sometimes. He had like a crazy pick 6. He fucking hit motherfuckers.
Brandon Browner is your favorite. Wow, okay. That threw me for a loop.
Like him and fucking Cam Chancellor would probably be my favorite. Cam was always in the backfield, always making big plays. It's probably the reason why I love Jamal Adams so much. But like honestly, Brandon Browner's story was my favorite.
Brandon Browner did have a cool story. I thought his come up was really good. Cam Chancellor was definitely just like, in my opinion, looking back on the whole thing now, he was just kind of like the rock that was just the foundation of everything back there. In my opinion, just he was the consistent emotional spark plug. He was just steady. There was no highs and lows with Cam Chancellor, it seemed. He was just always Cam Chancellor, and for that, I think he was my favorite. But Earl Thomas is next to Richard Sherman, in my opinion, as far as the best goes. When we drafted him, from there on out, was a freak. He was at that point from his entire up until he left and went to Baltimore was arguably the best safety in the game. He was so fun to watch. He made the craziest plays. He talked that shit. He was hitting people. He was just firing on all cylinders all the time. The dude was nuts. I loved watching Earl Thomas play. 100% one of my favorite guys. What about Byron Maxwell? I think he kind of came in and filled that Legion of Boom hole relatively well.
He came in. He was better than he was better at that role than Brandon Browner was. Brandon Browner for me was just like, honestly, like he was a fan favorite for me. He was somebody who came down from the CFL and made an impact, and it was really cool to see. And when he did come in, he was just like always making plays. He was always rah. He was loud. He was talking noise. He was like that before Richard Sherman was. And then Richard Sherman kind of took over that. Byron Maxwell was the quiet, humble, hardworking, did a lot of the dirty work, didn't really see it, which was awesome. Which was awesome to have.
That's all we got time for today. Hit the subscribe button below. HawksNest 604 on Twitter. All right. And we got a new thing out. We got merch. All right. The link is below. It's in our Twitter. It's on our Instagram. Hit it up. We got some cool shit out there. And hey, as always, go Hawks.
Let's go to eat a goddamn snack.